everybody? Welcome to the Monday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan, as we break down the 6-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and Fanduel. Well, we've reached the last week of the regular season, therefore this is the last week of the Slate Starter Podcast. No better way to start off the week than Luka Doncic getting ejected in the third quarter and any Mo Bamba lineup being disintegrated into millions and millions of little pieces. Rinpak, how's your night going?
Yeah, it was like you said, Luka and Mo Bamba were very disappointing for obviously ownership and obviously their salaries put together. It was Bledsoe who came out on the New Orleans side. Hernan Gomez was solid. Jackson Hayes continued to wreck. But Terry Rozier was the real class of his own today as he put up north of 50 fantasy points and really was very popular over there on FanDuel and really taking those lineups to the top tonight. We'll see who comes into the late night hammer, guys like Caruso, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. In the slower game, but in the faster game, there's guys like Delon Wright, Buddy Hield, and Marvin Bagley and Rashawn Holmes. So going to be an exciting Sunday finish. But going back to what you said, season 1 of the Slate Starter in the home stretch, it's been a ton of fun. And it went by quick. It was really, really quick. It feels like yesterday was December 18th or 19th is when it started, or December 20th. And here we are, May 10th. It went by fast. It was a quick 4 or 5 months of NBA, but it was a ton of fun this first season of the Slate Starter.
Oh, it was a blast. You put your neck out for me. Hopefully I delivered to some extent. It's been a blast. It's been a great ride, and we're excited to close out the week strong. We're not stopping till Thursday. After Thursday, we're stopping for a little while, but get down to that bottom bar, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That goes a long way for us, and hit that notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. We are sponsored, as always, by monkeyknifefight.com. Had some nice golf props with Rory McIlroy over there, so you should jump on over there too. He makes a lot of birdies, and so it was enjoyable to watch him get back in the winner's circle, but didn't bet him outright, which was really dumb in hindsight, but it usually is when you look after the fact on a golf tournament. But plus 1700 couldn't do it. Should have done it, but head over to monkeyknifefight.com. Check out all the goodies they have coming up for the Byron Nelson, for the golf side of it, for the NBA for the last regular season week, for MLB, which is in full swing here, jumping into month 3 there. It's just a bunch of goodies that they have going for all their prop-based games. You're not playing peer-to-peer. You get to face the house, and it's a good time. It's a great way to kind of spread out your allocation going up against monkeyknifefight.com, but not up against them. They want to give you money. That's what it is. So use the Awesemo goodies we have with the Awesemo Plus Platinum package and help them really just go over and support them. Good stuff. They sponsor Charlie Hoffman, so I think that's a good narrative to string into the golf for this week. But stop guessing, start winning, but head over to monkeyknifefight.com. You ready to get going, my dude?
Let's do it.
Well, we have a talking point right at the beginning because this is a Russell Westbrook slate. I think anybody who's been tuning in for the last however many weeks knows that I just play 100% Russell Westbrook for the most part. And that because you're actually good at DFS, you tend to take the undercut of him. Well, on DraftKings, that's going to be hard because he's sitting at 11,000 squarely on the number. There's no Bradley Beal. FanDuel put him up at 12,400. So first of all, props to them for making it a fun tournament slate tomorrow by actually increasing input on DraftKings. Womp, womp, womp. Russell Westbrook, no Bradley Beal, 11K. Seth Curry, 10,500. That would be your contrarian beyond contrarian pivot off of 11,000 Russell Westbrook. But Steph Curry can get it done. Guy hit 11 threes the other night. He continues to shoot well into double digits of threes per game. 49 real points, 65.25 up against OKC, and basically 3/4 of work. Only played 29 minutes in the game. Maybe play both of them in a lot of lineups might sound fun. And then the last guy to throw into the mix, Damian Lillard, 9,700, going up against a terrible Houston team. You could basically say he needs to do what Steph Curry did the other night because OKC is very bad at basketball, and so is Houston, and that's his matchup. So talk to me about the top end of point guard.
Well, it's another Russ slate, and much to my demise, as these Russ slates have not been fun for me, and it's I think those Russ slates have been they kind of have fit themselves. And yet again, 11K. The guy continues to just go on an absolute tear, playing all the minutes in the damn world. And he's getting 40 plus minutes, and he's almost performing at a 2 point per minute fantasy rate. It's been absolutely insane. But $11,000, it is so tough to fade this guy without Bradley Beal. I mean, he's on in a matchup versus Atlanta. He should eat. I mean, there's no questions about it. So that's how I feel about Russ. For those who make one lineup, I get it. If you guys want to play Russ, I go for it. And over there on FanDuel, the decision point is a lot more difficult at 12.5. But if you don't want to play Russ, I mean, I've been saying this. I mean, it's completely fine in terms of tournaments. He's going to come in probably one of the highest owned players as a stud, but it's not been fine if you've hated this guy majority of the last 2 weeks. But Steph Curry, 10-5 versus Utah. He's shown his moderate upside of 60 plus fantasy points last 2 out of the 4 games. I think Damian Lillard, 97 versus Houston, could drop 50 real life points in 3 quarters. No questions there. Unfortunately, Russ just is such a strong value at $11,000. It's tough to go to these other spend up options, and you're going to sacrifice a lot on that point guard slate if you go anywhere else. Guys who come out as decent values all the way down are, I think Raul Neto is going to play a lot of minutes with no Bradley Beal. 4,500. He might play a lot of 2 minutes. Ish Smith might be sharing the court with Bradley Beal tomorrow. With Russell Westbrook. Lonnie Walker is playing 30 plus minutes. Has he's done? He played 33, 28 the last 2 times, and he's been shooting very effectively from the field, 50%. As the San Antonio team continues to win to stay in the play-in game, in a tough matchup versus Milwaukee. But that's how it looks over there on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, Russ at 12.5. It's more of a decision point there. If you can find the value to get to him, I'm completely fine doing that. I think he'll be lower owned, obviously, with that salary where you hit the roster too. Other guys are pretty solid price tags. Ja Morant, 7,200 if you want to spend down. Matchup versus the Pelicans. Lonzo Ball with this depleted Pelicans roster. I like going to him. And if you want to go to other starts and Curry and Dame as pivots off of Westbrook because you're going to save a lot of money, makes a lot of sense. Even Trae Young, $8,400 for Trae Young. That's too cheap in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. 8,400 is a great tag for him on FanDuel. He's been a little bit cheaper over there. On DraftKings, it's been tough for me to play any Trae Young, and it's strange because he started to pop into my lineups here of late. Not a guy that I play that often. Bogdanovic and Gallinari getting into the mix there with John Collins, who can be an offensive threat, and then Capella eating up rebounds. Like for Trae Young, it's just so hard to be paying for him when you had Damian Lillard at about the exact same price for a while. Well, now he's 1,100 more, and there is a lot of blowout risk for anybody facing Houston right now. And then, as you said, Russell Westbrook on FanDuel, 12,400. That's nifty, but you at least have to think about it. So for 4,000 less, Trae Young looks pretty decent there too in that same matchup. Playing them together is going to be a popular route, but I want to talk about Ja Morant for a second. So the last 2, he's been terrible. He had that Minnesota matchup where he put up 61.8, which is kind of like a bright spot in a very dim season, it seems like, here of late for Ja Morant. But he's 7,200 going up against New Orleans. What's your interest there now that you get now that on the other side of it, you're looking at New Orleans that ended up winning a close one today. I'm not sure what they're playing for here. At this point in time, I'm assuming they're still live to go, but Brandon Ingram, game time decision, looking on the other side of it. I don't know. I just feel like Ja Morant in this matchup should be able to smash, and he just hasn't of late.
It's kind of been Ja Morant's story of his DFS season in a nutshell, and it's just how that's been for him. I love going to Ja Morant in the matchup. I know against the Pelicans, I think he should be just fine as they continue on to win to vie for be just in the proper seating that they want to be. The Pelicans are almost all but out of it. They won today, so they I believe only have a 3% chance of making the playoffs, according to 538. While the Spurs are at 8%. Obviously, that includes the play-in game and all things put together. But it's that's really about it, and it's I think Ja Morant's a great play against this Pelicans team. They need to win. I like Ja Morant quite a bit on both sides.
Okay. That was the one guy that I wanted to touch base on there because he stresses me out. He makes me very, very upset. You didn't talk about him earlier, right? I was listening to you. So it'd be very strange if you talked about him and I didn't hear you talk about him. Did you?
I did. I briefly mentioned him.
Okay, you briefly mentioned him, but I just wanted to get your take on what's going on with him and why he can't work. And then Kyle Anderson hasn't been good of late either. So it's kind of Memphis has been frustrating minus J-Val, who's my guy. Love J-Val very much. Overweight all the time, anywho. Shooting guard, top end. Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell, both out on the top end, which means Karis LeVert. If you played on Saturday and you did not roster Karis LeVert, if you played on Thursday and you didn't roster Karis LeVert, neither of those slates went pretty well for you because he put up 64.8 in 41 minutes against Washington and 63.6 up against Atlanta in 40 minutes. I think a lot of that is tied into getting Brogdon out of there once again. He's questionable for, I don't know, what is this, the 6th game in a row here. And that's a big deal. So if you get him out, 8,800, LeVert, fire it up. If not, it might be tough for me. Going down a little bit further, DeMar DeRozan, as you said, San Antonio needing to win games. Milwaukee's a tough one, but they gotta keep rocking. So DeMar DeRozan, 8,200, great spot. And CJ McCollum, somebody that I really liked up against the Lakers. Kind of disappointed there. Played well against San Antonio there on Saturday. 41 fantasy points, 32 minutes. A decent enough option on that top end, but again, so much blowout risk against Houston, and I almost never talk about that. Talk about the top end of shooting guard.
Yeah, top end of shooting guard. No Bradley Beal tomorrow, like you said. CJ McCollum, if you want to go to a guy in him for the Portland side of things in a very favorable matchup versus Houston, like it where you get the 3-point bonus on DraftKings, 7,800. Kind of seems kind of like where he's been all year, and we know he's been more active on the offensive end of things, and they also need to win games. They want to stay out of that playing game situation by any chance. I know they had a huge win against the Lakers the other night. You brought up a great thing about LeVert. Now a matchup versus Cleveland. They're pretty much the Spacer team is riding the backs of LeVert and Sabonis. 30 shot attempts, 20 shot attempts last 2 times out. Keep in mind, last game did go to overtime, but he's been balling, man. 9K price tag for LeVert. Yeah, I think he has that huge upside in him yet again in a matchup versus Cleveland. Chris Middleton makes for a great contrarian low-owned option on DraftKings. Jordan Clarkson, with that price tag at $7,700, I think if this game stays close, he's going to play around 30 minutes. Utah wants to win for that 1 seed. So as Golden State continues to battle for positioning and for seeding, I think he's a solid option. I think he will be low-owned. Bogdanovic on the side in a matchup versus Washington. I love that price tag at 7K. He's playing high 30s minutes, and he's getting quite a bit of usage himself. I know it's kind of been a 1A, 1B situation off of Trae Young returning in. Bogdanovic has delivered all year long when healthy and playing full minutes. So no issues there. Time to spend down over there on DraftKings a little bit. Talks about Neto. We'll see what the situation is with Memphis is. DeAnthony Melton, the Desmond Bane roulette has always been tough to nail right, but it's going to be in play again. Dylan Brooks against the Pelicans. I don't mind that because he's going to play high 30s minutes. It's going to be low owned, and that minute security at that price tag is pretty solid. And that's really about it. Spending down on shooting guard. I think Jayshawn Tate deserves a mention just because of the Houston situation. If those guys are limited, in 29 minutes, he put up 41.5 fantasy points, and he has shooting guard eligibility over there on DraftKings. So keep that in mind. Hopping over on the side, on Fanduel side of things, up top, CJ McCollum, 7,600. Like I said, I like that quite a bit. That's a solid savings off of guys like DeRozan and Karis LeVert. Don't mind if you want to pay up for those guys whatsoever. We know those guys have their own upside as well. Jordan Clarkson, 7,400. Some of the guys are also in play on the shooting guard spot on FanDuel as well, so no issues there. I think I like all of those guys compared to Sexton and Wiggins if you can find that salary work. Dylan Brooks at 5K, very solid price tag. Other guys around that price tag, guys like Eric Bledsoe, who's been really good the last couple of games out, kind of finding his stride weirdly, obviously playing a lot more minutes in the season. And DeAnthony Melton all the way down to 3,600. I think we can definitely have some interest there with no Grayson Allen.
I think shooting guard has 2 guys that we got to hit on from Houston as well. So is it Kyrie Thomas, 5,500, ended up putting up 52.75 fantasy points in 34 minutes against Utah. He wasn't in the player pool for that first time when he got introduced on the 7th, and he played well there too, 30.25 DraftKings points, but 34 minutes, 52.75, 5,500. I think there's room for a lot of minutes there as well. I think you want to get Olynyk out again. I think that would probably be a good thing for all of these pieces now that they're elevated a little bit, but they are still so shorthanded. I mean, they're looking at having like 0 centers, and playing Kenyon Martin Jr., playing him at the 5, and Danwell House, who can play some 5, I suppose, too, but he's undersized, and they have not wanted to play him more than like 18 minutes a game since he got back the last 2. So I think he'll be somewhat limited. So I think Kyrie Thomas goes there. And then Daquan Jeffries, shooting guard only on DraftKings as well. Both him and Thomas just shooting guard, but played massive minutes here the last 3, 41, 32, and 37. 38.25, by far his best outing here out of the last game. 17.7 boards, 5 assists. I think he's going to be popular, probably rightfully so. Do you have a preference out of any of those shooting guards over there? And then I guess Armani Brooks is shooting guard only on FanDuel, so he's 4,500 over there.
Yeah, it's going to come down to what news breaks for this Houston team. A lot of things can happen throughout the day with this Houston team, so it's really tough to pinpoint how many guys they'll have and how many fake actives and real actives they'll have. So that's a tough thing. That's the thing that's going to happen down this regular season, last week of this regular season for sure. But I think you put up all valid points. If we get that starting lineup with Kyrie Thomas, the 7 stocks, I don't expect to continue, but even without that, I think he can be really solid in terms of fantasy-wise. He was a draft pick of the Pistons before, just has been bouncing around. But yeah, I think just a borderline NBA player who can get minutes for this Houston team is going to be in play.
I'm curious what this line will open at. What, 17, 16 and a half? What do you think it opens at? Because Kelly Olynyk's questionable. I'd say 16 and a half.
Yeah, something like that. Probably like 15 and a half. Yeah, something like around those lines, 15, 16. Yeah, it's going to be a number of really significant maybe in the high teens, yeah. With Kelly Olynyk out, man, that's crazy.
I am chasing my Houston money. I have bet against them the last, 5 games in a row. They've lost all of them within less than 10 points. It's been the most tilting thing. It's ruined parlays. It's ruined evenings. It's definitely, I don't have a dog, but if I did, he'd be eating poor. So we got to move on to small forward. On the top end, Bradley Beal out. Chris Middleton, your first listed small forward on DraftKings at 8,400. Brandon Ingram, 8,200. He is questionable. He did not play Sunday. They ended up winning that game against Charlotte anyway, so that's useful. But if they're making any push, even 3%, I bet Brandon Ingram probably tries to give it a go. We'll see. And then DeMar DeRozan, 7,900 over there. So I guess I will throw in the other Bogdanovic here on this bottom end. So we have Wiggins at 6,900. This Utah-Golden State game matters quite a bit to Golden State. I don't know how much it matters. I mean, Utah and Phoenix, I think, are pretty close to that one, too, but I'm assuming they got to keep winning here, too. And then Bogdanovic, 6,600. The other one, Boyan Bogdanovic, not related, but talk about usage. You have no Mike Conley. You have no Donovan Mitchell tomorrow. I like him at 6,600 on DraftKings, which feels weird. Talk to me about the top end of small forward.
Yeah, top end of small forward. Middleton, like you said, that's obviously contrarian low end option, in my opinion. Maybe it's him that gets going out of the big 3 they have. I don't know if Ingram's going to play. I know David Griffin last week said he's going to be out indefinitely, and they're on the fringe of the play-in game, so it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with him. DeMar DeRozan, the lead offensive dog for this team. He's going to I would like those shot attempts to get even higher than 15 and 14. I liked it when they were in the 20s range last week, where he was putting up north of 40 fantasy points consistently throughout that week. He's obviously came down to earth. A matchup versus Milwaukee, he's going to get a mix of a lot of good defenders thrown at him, but I still think there's a lot of shot volume for him to potentially for us to take advantage of. Andrew Wiggins, 6,900. Another tournament option, not someone I feel always confident in, but has upside just because he also takes quite a bit of shots himself. Kind of gets overshadowed. His usage of late has been pretty impressive. And other guys at that small forward, you talked about Boyan Bogdanovic. Man, he dropped 48 the other night. Pretty remarkable performance from him. So he's going to be in play just because of the lack of Conley and Mitchell, and he can just get hot against this Golden State team. And we saw that huge upside. He doesn't need to get that type of upside, but he can knock out 6-7 threes like he did again, and that's going to help you get there for sure. And Jayshawn Tate should get a mention just because an undermanned Houston team. If there's no Olynyk again, can you not like Jayshawn Tate at that price tag just because he can get as many minutes as he can? I expected him to get even more. They were getting waxed by Utah pretty good, so that's how things stand at the small forwards position in the upper and mid tier. Spending down, no one really stands out to me under 4K. Really tough to see value. Value should open up tomorrow. We'll see. So And otherwise, people are going to scramble how to roster Russ. So it's really interesting right now. Not much value under 4K the way things stand on the small forward situation, in my opinion. Edmund Sumner is the only guy I think you can go there. Was a guy who's starting and playing around 30 minutes. So maybe he's going to be the value du jour tomorrow. But over there in FanDuel, the small forward position up top, Chris Middleton, 8,300. We're at the roster too. Definitely have some interest. You can roster both the Bogdanoviches. So I like that as a pretty solid roster construction. No issues there. 7,300 to 6,100. Cal Anderson could get going against this Pelicans matchup. And Joe Ingles. I like those guys all stand out to me with some serious upside at the small forward position. No real super set to pay up for. If you want to spend down guys like Bazemore and Keldon Johnson, sure. Don't have issues there. You know what those guys can do if they can spike that upside. What do we do with Najee Marshall? How do you feel about Najee Marshall in his 27 minutes, 3 of the last 4 games?
I was underneath the field on Friday just by pure accident, called not getting my lineups in time. And so I didn't have any Najee Marshall or James Johnson, which worked out fantastic on Friday. I did have to play 100% Ben Simmons. That was paying the freight, but he almost got a triple-double, which would have been hilarious. He had 8, 9, and 10, which I don't really get how he could do such things and just never gets to 10 points. But that would have been a fun, happy accident. Not an accident today that I had a bunch of him and it did not go well. Najee Marshall just not figuring out ways to be as involved here. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the Hernan Gomez on the floor is just much more active than Steven Adams. I think there's got to be something to be said about that. There's less like rebounds that are just up there for happenstance. Like Jackson Hayes, Hernan Gomez are pretty active. Like on the glass here, 9 rebounds there. Steven Adams just kind of like in there doing whatever, not very selfish in terms of stats. And there were a number of times I can remember for Steven Adams. I mean, he had a lot of double-doubles there. He had a string of them in the middle of April where he was kind of like starting to gain a little bit of traction. But I'm not really sure what it is. Najee Marshall just has been very, very bad. Can we just say that small forward is a terrible position tomorrow?
Hey, there's both Bogdanoviches tomorrow. It's not that bad.
It's not that good either. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Danilo Gallinari, 28 minutes, 39.9 on FanDuel. Fire up some small forwarded there. Norman Powell is just dust, and you can't possibly go for 30 anymore, so that's tough. But, yeah, he's going to play 30-something minutes again against Houston. Maybe he's the one who gets hot, and they just try to get him going. Like, maybe take some shots there.
And someone who burned everyone on Saturday night in Houston was Anthony Lamb. He burned me for sure. I think we can go right back to him at $4,300. I don't have any issues if you want to do that.
Like 31 minutes still. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's how I feel about him. And Daquan Jeffries, 4,600. Not as exciting as Anthony Lamb, but finally showed that upside last game out. So these Houston guys are getting a ton of minutes. And it ends up being 2 or 3 of these guys being exceptional, and the rest end up being fairly mediocre. So,
yeah, which is fine. Like that's why we're targeting them. Is you're trying to spike the upsides. But yeah, Anthony Lamb was awful. It was not great. Giannis Antetokounmpo on the top end of power forward on FanDuel, 11,300. Excuse me. Domantas Sabonis, 10,700 going up against Cleveland. Talk about a guy who's just been going nuts. He did get up to 43 minutes, 70.1, but that makes 3 games of 67 or more FanDuel points in his 5 games back, which is just kind of remarkable and stupid. And I guess that's what you're paying 10-7 for him against Cleveland. Christian Wood, game time decision sitting there. And then Draymond Green, 7,900 going up against Utah. I feel like that's a game of meaning and a good spot to target him. But Kenyon Martin Jr., 7,100 now. I still like that. Like, let's fire it all up. Talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, Giannis up top 11-3. I think now Milwaukee's has a chance to grab the 2 seed with those couple L's they handed to the Nets. So maybe that's something they want to grab, a potential second round matchup, and they want to get that home court advantage potentially. So 11-3 Giannis, no issues if you want to spend up for to him. On FanDuel, you're saving those $1,200 off of Russ as a stud you can target. Sabonis has been a stud himself. So you can make your I think Giannis is going to be low on just because people are going to flock to Sabonis and his upside. So that's going to be interesting to see how that ends up going. There's no Zion, unfortunately. KJ Martin, 7,100. A lot. I think if we get no Christian Wood, no Kelly Olynyk, definitely like the chances of him paying off a 7,100 price tag. Even if one of those guys are in, think I'd rather take my chances on 6,200 Jayshawn Tate potentially, just because you're going to save. The slate's big enough where you can upgrade across different positions. So keep that in mind. Other value options on this, all the way down. Bertans is going to have to play a lot of minutes. They're going to have to take a lot of those Bradley Beal shots. I really like going to him. You save 700 off of James Johnson. That's one way to go. And Georges Niang has been playing mid-20s minutes. They did take care of Houston quite a bit. Actually, they only won by 8, but they were up a lot. And he's gone 9 of 12, 5 of 10 last time. He's getting a near double-digit shot attempts. So that's pretty solid at that price tag. Sub 4K. If you want, those are the value type of plays. If you want to find a way to jam up to Westbrook and Jaren Jackson Jr. Found his way to mid-20s minutes the last few games, mid-30s fantasy points, and we'll take that at $5,500 on FanDuel. Hopping over on the DraftKings side of things, up top, obviously, we talked about Giannis 10-8, Sabonis 10-6. The pricing is a little closer here. The decision point, it's going to be a bit closer where you could upgrade to Giannis or go down to Sabonis in a matchup versus Cleveland. Don't have issues if you want to do that. If Olynyk plays, obviously 8,100 for Olynyk. He's been a stud when he's been playing out there. So no issues there. Draymond Green, man, he's put up almost a near triple-double last time. Or did he get the triple-double last time in 30 minutes to play? He's been pretty consistent over the last week in terms of just racking up the stats. He knows what's online. 7,600, like that. KJ Martin, much more feasible, 6,200. I think he'll continue to get the minutes. Hopefully one of those guys are out, Wood or Olynyk, to free up more minutes for him. But $6,200 definitely in play. And Jaren Jackson Jr., solid at 6K even here. I think he's getting those minutes up to the upper 20s, which make him pretty exciting in tournament play, in my opinion. So no questions there. I'm trying to find Bertans on DraftKings.
3,700. He is a piece that I want a lot of there. He is 3,700 on FanDuel as well. Him and how about Rui Hachimura's minutes being monitored at 35 that he played the other night? Fortunately, that was enough for me not to play him, but Scott Brooks is just an idiot. He's just been, I mean, that guy, just don't even talk anymore. Rui Hachimura, 4,900, big fan of taking some shots there. No Bradley Beal. Going to play some big minutes, maybe upside of 40 minutes there now that he's back there. But Davis Bertans, 3,700. The flamethrower, maybe he can get hot. 35 and 34 minutes the last two. Please, can we say one time, Davi?
I hope so, man. I've been chasing that. I've been on the wrong side of that. And with no Beal, it's going to open things up because for like Rui and Davis Bertans, and hopefully it pans out, but we'll see tomorrow. Garrison Matthews hits the career high 10 3-pointers and really sticks the middle finger to us all, right?
Good God, yeah. Well, I can tell you one thing. I think Davis Bertans is going to be popular. It's only 6 games. That's a pretty low tag. You have no Bradley Beal, and there's going to be shots to go around. So I'm very nervous about it, but I really, really like Bertans for tomorrow. Let's round this puppy out, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's finish over on FanDuel today. It's not FanDuel Friday, but it is something Monday, whatever. It's Manic Monday. Wish it were Sunday. Yeah, we're not going to sing. Top end, Kelly Olynyk on FanDuel is 8,100. He is your most expensive center because that's what we all expected on Monday, May 10th, that we would be saying. Is Kelly Olynyk your highest expensive dude? But God, is he worth it. It's unbelievable. If he plays 30-plus minutes, it's just outrageous the kind of performances he's had. I've been all in on him so many times, and I would probably do it again should he play against Portland. But then I also have Jonas Valanciunas, who's like my guy. 36 minutes, 57.7 against Toronto. I just love his upside because if he ever gets the minutes, he's just going to smash. And now you're going to get Hernan Gomez and Jackson Hayes. Memphis, just keep running him out there because he can get you where you want to go. Okay, and Rudy Gobert, 7,900 up against Golden State. Yeah, I'm going to fire that up too. Clint Capella, 7,700 against Washington. Ooh, top end of center looks actually pretty decent on FanDuel. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, those guys are all great options. I think Gobert might be my favorite one of those out of the bunch. Him and Valanciunas pretty near split. Capella is not terrible at 7,700. Last time Gobert played the Warriors, he put up 77 FanDuel points. So go figure with that. Nurkic is even out of play at 7,600 versus Houston. A very, very tournament play. If he finds a way to 30 minutes, he could put up 60 against Houston. But I like going up to those guys in more security. Jared Allen just has not been himself since that concussion. Clearly, he's just been not good. And it's not been fun in terms of the fantasy side of things. If you want to spend all the way down, Kevon Looney is probably going to be on the court for a lot of Rudy Gobert minutes. He just racks up rebounds, and that's about it. And doesn't do anything else. He just gets rebounds. He doesn't go to the line. Doesn't take shots. Doesn't get any steals. Maybe a block or two, but he could get 15, 16 rebounds in this game. And maybe lands on a putback, and maybe he's on your way to 5Xing that salary. You're going to need more than 5X to take down a tournament for Kevon Looney. But, hey, if you want to spend down, if Adams plays, I doubt it he plays, but he's 4,500. It's you can mix and match with those four high-priced guys like Olynyk, Capella, who did I say? Gobert. All mixing and matching around those guys makes a lot of sense over there on FanDuel. Hopping over on DraftKings, obviously multi-positional eligibility, got a little bit more options. Giannis has center eligibility, Sabonis, Valanciunas, Gobert, Capella. All those guys are definitely solid place to go to. I think Valanciunas, 8,200, got to have a lot of interest there if he finds his way to 30-plus minutes. John Collins isn't the most terrible play at 6,400. I know if you're looking for a low-owned tournament option in a matchup versus Washington, he could potentially get there. Hernan Gomez plays. I don't mind it, 5,700. Jackson Hayes is getting pretty much all the non-Hernan Gomez minutes. He's been really good the last two games. Obviously, a top 10 pick. We'll see.
He closed tonight too. I want to let it be known that
was really
kind of
tilting.
an interesting sign.
I was really tilting because Hernan Gomez missed on his double-double by a point, and I was way over the field on Hernan Gomez today, so that double-double could have been real nice. But that happens. Other than that, I guess Jakob Poeltl deserves a shout-out as well. So that's honestly the center spot is not that fun for tomorrow for a 6-game slate. You're going to have to mix and match with some guys like I said, Gobert, Capella, Valanciunas, Olynyk if he plays. So keep that in mind. I do think News will open up some spots on center. So keep that in mind. Obviously, Houston doesn't have much to play for. Pretty much, I believe, have locked down the 1 seed, but you can make a case. Every other game has some sort of seeding implications. Washington, Atlanta, huge seeding implications for Atlanta. Indiana, still trying to be just making sure they're secure in the play-in game. Pelicans, Memphis. Memphis wants to, obviously, I believe they're now the 9 seed. Maybe they want to get up to the 8. I'm not sure. Milwaukee's and San Antonio, both teams are have seeding implications. And Utah, Golden State. Honestly, the only team that's not playing for anything is Houston. So,
Houston.
It's quite interesting. That play-in game has shifted this last week of season where a lot of games matter.
Maybe they should have forfeited the other night. I take back my take from before because they are garbage and they don't deserve to be playing basketball right now. But anywho, nevertheless, we're going to have tons of them tomorrow. Go figure. Rinpack, any final words for the people?
No, it's the final week. So it's lots and lots of news. And it's gonna hopefully we're on the right side of things. And obviously another Russell Westbrook slate. And hopefully there's enough value that where we can roster him in ease.
Well, guys, only 4 more slate starters to go. We'll catch you on Tuesday.